Hey, how everyone's doing today? My name is Christopher Anderson. I will be presenting a informational speech to you today. And the topic is about music has many styles. And the styles that we will be going over today is classical music, gospel music, R&B music. Now, before we get started, I would like to ask you a question. And think hard on this. What would life be like without different styles of music? Good question. Well, for me, music styles, if not invented, will leave me infinite. You'll get that one on the way home. Alright, well, I will be talking to you about these styles, the presentation. It will benefit your needs. And these styles from classical music. Classical music can improve your creativity. Gospel can have a positive impact on your life. R&B gives you the understanding and love emotions for you or someone else. And so we're gonna move on here to classical music. And before we start this slide here, I'd like to ask you another question. How can classical music impact your life in a positive way? Let me rephrase that, in a positive way. And I'm going to answer that. Classical is lecture in the class. Classical music is lecture in the class. Now, classical music can improve your creativity again. Now, classical was created in the 19th century. The term classical music has just now appeared from the Golden Age period, from Bach to Beethoven. In 1829 was the very first known recording of classical music. And classical music is important because it gives our brain the ability to think different ways, and also it can expand your imagination. Since music affects your emotions and abilities. Now, the start of classical music from the year 1770 in 1827, Beethoven studied Haydn as well as other composers. While he was young, he began a commercial in the late 18th century, as had Haydn and Mozart in the 19th century. Beethoven was considered to be a romantic composer. Moving on to the second slide. Out of these three, my favorite is gospel music. And I will begin by asking you guys another question. Have you heard the good news about the gospel? Okay, give you a minute to think on that. More of the gospel. I always say more of the gospel, not the gossip. Now, gospel music can leave a positive impact on your life if you let it. And the creation of gospel music, the gospel started around 1920 through 1930s, and the first commercial gospel concert and gospel publishing company was started at 1920 and 1930. Thomas Dorsey invented the first gospel song, and it was called the Queen of Gospel. Other blues elements of religious music, not secular or sacred gospel in general, of Christian music. The meaning of gospel is performed and can be heard in church, and it will be performed by a gospel choir. In terms of gospel in Christianity, refers to the story of Jesus Christ / Yeshua, the birth and death and the resurrection, and the purpose of gospel. The styles of music is to uplift and encourage the body of Christ with the music and hope bringing salvation to non-believers and entertain all people with positivity. Also to tell the gospel of Jesus Christ through music. And the last slide here, this topic is R&B. And I have a question for you guys, like always. Did you know R&B stands for rhythm and blues? As I would say, rhythm and blues, don't snooze or you lose. Thank you. I'm on the road. Okay, so now, as I discussed on the first slide, R&B gives you the understanding of love emotions for you or someone else. And the history behind R&B, the term rhythm and blues, is replaced by race music, and it was referred to most created by blacks for a period. When the music genre hip-hop music emerged, it started to control the African American culture. As for love songs, title pieces, the understanding of R&B, meaning constantly changing in the 70s, for soul and funk music. Then later, in the 80s, there were contemporary R&B first brought. Details of dance, hip-hop, funk, and soul. R&B was reportedly popular music and was influenced by African culture through different styles. The start of R&B in years of 1940s, R&B came into the light of fame with the Harlem Fame Knots. Louis Jordan, Cab Calloway, Count Basie from Rhythm and Blues, and first made by Jerry Winsler, music journalist turned record producer in 1948. And that will be the end of the presentation. I would like to thank you for your time and your patience. Now, I would like to say give yourself a pat on the back because you have just received informational speech about some informative information. Thank you.